For the first time in more than 50 years, the U.S. is sending astronauts back toward the moon.
GLS is go for core stage engine.
Jesus' resurrection on Easter Sunday. But in Nigeria, there's a stark reminder of the persecution of our brothers and sisters. The Nigerian president meeting with families days after their loved ones were slaughtered for celebrating Palm Sunday.
Still talking to the same person if I was at my home in Palm Beach.
I'm Peter from Palm Beach. Have nothing to do with Jeffrey Epstein. He's a very bad person, what he did, obviously, and he is dead.
That's right, folks. Epstein, Jeffrey Epstein, the man with the island, which is suspiciously close to Haiti.
Welcome to the sacrificed.
Well, Christians around the world are preparing to celebrate Jesus' resurrection on Easter Sunday. But in Nigeria, there's a stark reminder of the persecution of our brothers and sisters. The Nigerian president meeting with families days after their loved ones were slaughtered for celebrating Palm Sunday.
Abunda ake mana yana ji yana gani abunda ana yi mana yana ji yana gani oh Allah yana sama yana ji yana gani Allah yana sama yana ji yana gani abinda ana yi mana yana ji yana gani abinda ana yi mana oh yana ji yana gani yana ji yana gani yana ji yana gani dukan komai oh yana ji yana gani yana ji yana gani dukan komai oh.
You told me before we got started that you almost canceled this interview because your heart is so heavy. Thank you again for your courage, my friend. Tell the world what is happening.
Well, first, let me just say thank you. The last interview that we had was really powerful. Shows how much social media can make such an impact. Thanks to everyone who prayed and has been praying, who reached out just to show support. And I know that the news might make you feel like, oh, your prayer is not working, but that's the life from the pit of hell. God is enough. God is enough. And a lot has been going on. The killings have not stopped. The persecution has not stopped. The dimension to which it has taken is even more heartbreaking because it was the villages, it was the outskirts of town, and now they've crept into the town. It's only a matter of time before we are counting days to when they attack even deeper into town. So it's worrisome for all of us. It's worrisome for me. It's worrisome for every Nigerian that is seeing these things. And while our hearts breaks, we still trust God. We still believe God. We still know that He's in control. He never lost control. Yeah.
First of all, let me make a statement here that's going to blow your mind. Do you know that Easter Sunday cannot possibly be the day of the resurrection? You know why? Easter never falls on the same date year to year, right? It can't be the day of Jesus' resurrection. I'll tell you why. Look at the screen here. For example, let's go back 5 or 6 years. In 1996, Easter came on April the 7th. That's when you all celebrated it. The next year, 1997, it came on March the 30th. The next year, 1998, it came on April the 12th. Last year, it came on April the 3rd. This year, it's going to come on April the 23rd. So how can you have a difference from April the 23rd clear back to March 30th? That's a difference of 23 days. How does that happen? How did we ever get Easter on the first Sunday after the first full moon after the equinox? Did you ever wonder about that? I'll tell you where it comes from. Would you like to guess? It comes from Babylon. You're right. Everything goes back to Babylon. I don't care what it is. In Babylon, they had a goddess of fertility. Her name was, interestingly, Ishtar, I-S-H-T-A-R. That's where we get our word Easter from, was this pagan goddess of fertility. If you doubt this, by the way, go home tonight in your encyclopedia and look up Easter in your encyclopedia. It'll tell you the whole story that I'm going to tell you right now. It's in every history book. And what they did, this goddess of fertility called Ishtar, they worshipped her in the springtime. You know why? Because everything was coming to life, and she was the one that caused all life and everything to grow anyway, so they thought she got very active in the springtime. So they honored her always on the first Sunday after the first full moon after the equinox. That was Ishtar's day, because she was the goddess of fertility, the goddess of reproduction. And you know what happens, folks? They took that then, and they celebrated this day of her in her honor, and so did Medo-Persia, and so did Greece. In fact, Greece had her under another name called Venus. You ever heard of Venus before? That's Ishtar in Babylon, the same thing. And then you go to Rome, and Rome had this, and then as papal Rome again rules the entire world for the next 1260 years, it passes that teaching on to everybody in the world, and the whole world does it, and nobody even thinks twice about it. But you all tell me, what in the world do chocolate chickies and bunny rabbits got to do with the resurrection of Jesus? Amen? Did you ever wonder about that? I bet you didn't. You know why? You've done it all your life. Everybody does it. But you know where it comes from? Make a guess. Babylon is right. Because folks, in Babylon, they worshipped the egg on Easter's day, because an egg is a symbol of fertility. Not only that, they worship bunny rabbits on Easter's day. You know why? Because bunny rabbits are the most prolific reproducers in the world. I know. I grew up on a ranch. We had lots of rabbits. All rabbits do is make love and have babies. Isn't that right? Yeah. And so, honestly, they worship the rabbit. And we still have that today, all the way back from Babylon.
Oh my God.
He and his wife and grandson first heard that howl when they were walking back to their car at the end of the trail along the Vermilion River, about 45 minutes from the town of Sioux Lookout. Initially, Mikas thought it was a moose or a bear, but the experienced hunter quickly realized that it was a sound he's not familiar with. Mikas posted 2 videos on YouTube where they have since gone viral, racking up 2 million views. Bigfoot, Sasquatch, a wolf, Mikas says we may never know.
This is one of our most talked about stories, and tonight, that strange sound people are hearing in Forest Grove, well, it's still a mystery.
And it's also gaining national attention as people everywhere try to solve it.
The tone is very high, so it gets to a point where it really affects your hearing.
Paula Lynch can't figure out what the sound is.
It's hard to identify what angle it's coming from because it just kind of encompasses the area.
She's heard it 5 times. Her neighbor has heard it 3 times, and they both say it's happening during the day and into the evening. Paula posted a recording she made and threw it up on Facebook. It's been shared repeatedly.
The fire department thought it possibly could be maybe something happening with the sewer system, some sort of a whistling under there.
A spokesperson with the fire department says that their crews haven't been in the area to actually hear the sound themselves, so they're left in the dark.
We've had people talk that it could be possibly a warning of a gas line.
I checked with Northwest Natural Gas. They say they have no reports of any problems, and they say if it were a gas issue and gas were being released, you'd absolutely be able to smell it. We then went to the Public Works Department. Officials here say they haven't heard about the problem until we told them about it. For now, the mystery continues.
We're just hoping that maybe somebody might be able to identify it so we can report it and have it stop happening.
Now people around the country,
Colorado and on the East Coast,
are curious about it too. Bill Bullock's been hearing from family members, seeing the story in places like the Washington Post.
just calling and asking what the noise was and what was happening here, because the news is getting out evidently everywhere.
To add to the mystery, not everyone around here, Bill included, has heard the sound, ever.
I take these guys out 5-6 times a day, and last one between 10-10:30 at night, and the only sound I hear then are coyotes.
We checked back with several local agencies, including the Forest Grove Police Department. We talked with them last week. They didn't know what it was then. They still don't know what it is now. So folks at home, keep those theories coming. Back to you.
First time in more than 50 years, the U.S. is sending astronauts back toward the moon.
And GLS is go for core stage engine start.
Integrity, good roll pitch. Roger, roll
Incredible
pitch.
stuff. Just moments ago, NASA launched Artemis 2 from the Kennedy Space Center in Florida, sending a crew of 4 astronauts on a 10-day voyage around the moon and back to Earth. If all goes as planned, they'll travel farther into deep space than any humans before them. The flight marks a key step in the broader Artemis program, which aims to put humans back on our moon surface by 2028. And joining me now from the Space Center in Florida is our science correspondent, Miles O'Brien. So Miles, take us into that moment. What was it like to see liftoff there? Just tell us what you saw and heard around you.
Well, I've covered probably 40 shuttle launches in my career, and nothing was like this. This was a much more powerful rocket, a rocket that is on its way to another celestial body. 4 people on board, lifted off the planet by an orchestra, a symphony of work on the part of a team here that put it all together. There were some glitches in the countdown, which caused some concern, but in the end, they worked them all out. And they had a very clean ride to space. They're now in space and beginning the process of checking out this vehicle on a test flight that will last 9 days and take them around the moon.
So Miles, you mentioned
it might land wrong, but I'm going to try anyway. This is the first time we're going to send humans to the moon, and we're going to have humans in low Earth orbit. That is awesome. Like, we should, as humanity, we should take a brief moment to go, that's awesome. One of the things that we most asked for and look forward to is we are going to do a crew conference between Integrity and the International Space Station, the crew that's up there.
Cyril, who has been what many view as a conspiracy investigator about the moon landing, saying they're fake. He even confronted, as I said, Buzz Aldrin. Let's take a look at what happened then.
Yeah. You got to keep shooting, man. Okay, well, you can put it on your shoulder. Don't be shy.
Just come with me, Buzz.
You really like it, you're the one who said you walked on the moon when you didn't. Calling the kettle black, if I ever thought of it. Saying I misrepresented myself.
Away from me.
You're a coward and a liar and a thief.
Well, Bart Cyril joins me now. Welcome to Uncensored. I've actually met Buzz Aldrin. All I remember is he had one of the hardest handshakes I've ever encountered on any human being ever. So you were quite courageous there, Bart Cyril, albeit as you were calling one of the great modern heroes a coward. Why are you so obsessed about branding the lunar landings fake?
Well, because one of the most historic events in human history isn't putting a man on the moon. It's that the most powerful government in the world that hypocritically claims to represent truth and justice falsified their alleged greatest accomplishment. They did indeed fake the moon landing. And Brian, first time I've ever seen you speak, he's obviously highly intelligent and a very reasonable person. Unfortunately, people want to believe a tantalizing lie like their team ran or won the Super Bowl. What he's, he claims I'm denying scientific reasoning, but actually he's doing that because it's never happened in the history of the world that a milestone technologically occurred, like let's say flying across the Atlantic in 1927. Or breaking the sound barrier, or splitting the first atom. It's never happened in the history of the world that more than 50 years later, no one could accomplish it.
Absolute rubbish.
We can say that we are in the middle of a reshaping of the world order.
We can say that we are in the middle of a reshaping of the world order
that will hopefully lead to the formation of a stable and fair multipolar world. But right now, this restructuring looks more like disruption in all spheres, and the fight for power across the world is fierce. And political scientists in Russia and in the world point at a whole number of manifestations that indicate the very challenging history of today's. And what we're witnessing now has all the indicators of escalating into a broader conflict that some have already dubbed World War III.
Some have already dubbed World War III.
No, there's no accidents with me, not too many.
No, there's no accidents with me, not too many.
Similarly, and if there's some very good open source intelligence sites that we've seen a flow of the special operations commands, kind of lead elements, Army's Delta Force, SEAL Team 6, the Task Force 160, that's U.S. Special Operations Aviation, 75th Ranger Regiment. They also have been going to the Middle East on C-17s, multiple flights over the last 48 hours. So we're seeing the deployment of what are ground forces. And so I think that's something that, one should take note of, in particular, because in the past when Trump has done this, whether it's the Venezuela operation with Maduro or the initial kickoff in Iran, when he moves military assets, he actually uses them. And in particular, we also have to remember that the Marine Expeditionary Unit, the one coming from the Pacific, that will be on station by Friday. In the area too. So that's another contingent of Marines. So there are ground forces flowing to the region. I think that's really significant.
We're not going to foreclose any option. You can't fight and win a war if you tell your adversary what you are willing to do or what you are not willing to do.
According to state media, Iran threatened to strike U.S. tech and defense companies in the region starting Wednesday, naming Apple, Google, and Boeing, among others.
What have you heard about the discombobulator? Because I hadn't heard anything in that much detail since Halpern said it made everybody yak.
There's a lot of directed energy weapons that we've had for a while, and we've tested them. There's some that can make you feel heat. There's sound waves that can make you just freak out and discombobulate you. What exactly they're using and what was used in Venezuela has not been publicly announced. It's just one of those things that we have that makes it a big advantage, because when you are going into a place where the enemy knows where you're coming, you don't want to lead with your face. That's a cardinal rule of door-kicking operations. Yeah. Have something in front of you for that. So that's why you throw flashbangs in a room. This is a directed energy flashbang to blow everybody's mind and hopefully get our guys in and safely back out.
Yeah, I don't understand. Did he mention anything about the Epstein files?
No. And one thing I'll say about that is I always try to find a little silver lining if I can. And one little piece of good news is like the distractions aren't working.
The distractions aren't working.
They tried to throw aliens at us last week. They tried to throw meteors flying, and we're not taking the bait. They tried to throw Epstein. Now they're going up around the moon, and no one's taking the bait.
Do not bring NASA into this.
I just mean, think about all the other things they're trying to throw at us, and we're not wavering. We're not wavering. We're not getting distracted.
I think
That I am nothing to do with Jeff Epstein. I'm Palm Beach Pete.
I'm still talking to the same person if I was at my home in Palm Beach.
I'm Peter from Palm Beach. Have nothing to do with Jeffrey Epstein. He's a very bad person, what he did, obviously, and he is dead. And I'm alive. My video went viral because some dude randomly filmed me while I was driving on I-95, unbeknownst to me.
You're saying you lived in New York City?
Yes.
So you've been everywhere he goes.
I'm not Jeffrey Epstein. I'm just Palm Beach Pete. Going to play some tennis today. Going into town. Have lunch. I'm so not Jeffrey Epstein. I'm just me being me. And it's a crazy phenomenon. Palm Beach Pete from sunny Florida. Not a cloud in the sky. I'm off to play some tennis.
You're not Jeffrey Epstein?
I'm not Jeffrey Epstein. I'm Palm Beach Pete.
Atta boy, yeah.
Okay. Peace out.
So Epstein had a roadmap called What If I Get Caught? And it's got a bunch of segments right here. The first segment, trouble avoidance, computer security, telephone security, avoid signing, check out what's legal, have a fall guy. Keep a bookmark on that one.
That's Kash Patel. Write that down.
He'll never be able to see it coming because one eye's looking over here and the other one's fishing over there. Avoid learning about illegal acts of others, give no advice that aid and abets, don't hold stolen goods, safe uses of private detectives, accomplice use and law. That's a weird way to put that. Yeah. Wife testimony, so you got to make sure she shuts the fuck up. Avoid trackable expenditure, meaning don't use credit cards. And then it talks about safe houses, disguises, plastic surgeon, document generation, birth certificate, driver's license, creating a new identity.
Disguises, plastic surgeon, document generation, birth certificate, driver's license, creating a new identity.
Why has no one been arrested? And I'm talking every one of them. Every one of them. And you start to realize, tell me if y'all have experienced this. We're not even on the sermon. We lost it a long time ago. We're not going to get back to it. We're going to revisit it next week. It's fine. You all have people, we can work through this. We read a Bible verse, so you got your fill. All right? Now, all of this, I just want to say, I just track with me. Just help me. Here's what I'm asking you to do. I'm being very selfish today, but help me help myself realize, just would you affirm me that I'm not losing my mind? Okay? Because here's what I want to say. I am now, as it starts like moving outward and it's being exposed, is anybody else in the room going, wait a minute, the whole thing is corrupt? This isn't, because we were just like, well, Bill Clinton, God, I would give anything if it was just one guy. Haul him off, get him out of here. Turns out, oh my God, and even back in the day, the Republicans are like, there's like a cabal. A bunch of people who are all a part of like child trafficking, and I'm like, oh my God, they were telling the truth, but they said it was always the Democrats. Turns out it wasn't just the whole thing is corrupt. And then you had a man show up and go, I tell you what I'm gonna drain the swamp. You drained it all right, of any ounce of integrity it ever had. Linda Gates speak yesterday. Bill, are y'all doing the same thing? Is this what y'all do during the day, or is it just me? Oh, she divorced Bill long before that because she saw, and then you start putting all the pieces together, but then you have to be careful that you don't fly off into some conspiracy where, and then Israel's involved, and then there's Netanyahu, and all of a sudden you start making all of the dots, and you're like, oh, don't look at the genocide that's happening. And why is it that everyone who is the problem are those who are on the underside? But no one's saying, hey, the 1% that is the problem is the oligarchs. Some people have been screaming this, but now you're starting to see it in real time. Larry Ellison, are you familiar with this name? By the way, I've made up my mind, I'm just going to start calling out names, okay? Because that's a part of exposure point. He will be gone, and I want you to know the problem will have not gone with him. This is a lot of work, and there are layers to it. And this is why it's important that we keep doing what we're doing.
Have you heard about this? An absolutely wild story at a time when we could be on the verge of some kind of disclosure about alien life and UFOs from the White House. They've said this. 4 people who worked in government programs and knew a whole lot about that topic have either vanished or have been murdered.
I've been 100% serious. I've been briefed by just about every alphabet agency there is. And I'll just tell you this, if they would release the things that I've seen, you would stay up, you'd be up at night worrying about or thinking about this stuff. We just need to disclose it all. I'm sick of it. Well, I was briefed. I'll just tell you this. I was briefed last week on an issue, or excuse me, 2 weeks ago, and it would have set the earth on. This country would have come unglued, I think, if they would have heard all that I heard. They would demand answers, and we need to. But it's never going to get. Unfortunately, it just keeps getting covered up, and the people that know are dying or disappearing, as the case may be.
Wow.
And for the record, I'm not suicidal, and I don't take risks. So,
I'm glad you said that. I'm speechless, Congressman. We
you
will
should
have
be.
you back.
You should be. And I told the president, release it all.
We are being prepared for a great, great deception. That's the word that God keeps putting on my heart. Deception, deception, deception. And so I go to 2 Thessalonians, verse 9. It says this in chapter 2. The coming of the lawless one will be in accordance with how Satan works. He will use, check this out, all sorts of displays of power through signs and wonders that will serve the lie and all the ways that wickedness deceives those who are perishing. One more, Billy, because I think it's important for us to dive into scripture, which is 1 John 4. Dear friends, do not believe every spirit or interdimensional being, but test the spirit or interdimensional being to see whether they are from God, because many false prophets have gone out into the world. This is how you can recognize the Spirit of God. Every spirit, interdimensional being, that acknowledges that Jesus Christ has come in the flesh is from God. But every spirit that does not acknowledge Jesus is not from God. This is the spirit of the Antichrist, which you have heard is coming, and even now is already in the world.
There's a story that caught our attention. We're talking about a number of U.S. scientists, some connected to very sensitive research, who have died or disappeared. Let's break down what we know.
You've also claimed, you described what you call as anomalous shadows that are not parallel, suggesting multiple artificial light sources in a studio rather than a single distant sun. So these photographs that we're looking at now, you think are indicative of fakery?
Well, let me also say I went from being the biggest fan, greater fan than Brian. I had a shrine of Apollo pictures in my house for decades. And a filmmaker's job is to make fake scenes look real. Go back to the picture and look how shadows should be in sunlight.
Well, let's talk about this, because this is fascinating. I remember very clearly, I think anybody who was alive at the time does. I remember my parents waking me up and we went down and we watched you guys land on the moon.
No, you didn't.
What?
Because there wasn't any television. There wasn't anybody taking a picture. You watched animation. See, you associated what you saw with...
I have very hazy memories.
Yeah, I know.
Well, no, but what we saw was we all were gathered around the old curved top radio and listened.
Talking about, how many feet we were going to the left and right, and then I said, contact light, engine stop.
It's
a few
exciting.
other things, and then Neil said, Houston, Tranquility Base, the Eagle has landed. Man, how about that?
That was very exciting.
Not a bad line.
Yeah.
Roll ABC Digital. Wanted to give you the opportunity to swear on the Bible that you walked on the moon. Will you put your left hand on the Bible and swear to God that you walked on the moon?
Gentlemen.
Mr. Seibel. Yes? If you really walked on the moon, why would you not do that? So why don't you just put the end to the record in the argument and put your hand on the Bible, swear to God you walked on the moon.
Mr. Seibel, knowing you, that's probably a fake Bible.
Really? Well, no, it's a real Bible. You have the opportunity to have $5,000.
The meeting is not open.
Well, you have $5,000 cash. You can give it to charity if you swear on the Bible that you walked on the moon.
Please
I have
give
a
it to
tape.
charity. It'd be fine.
Why don't you swear to? Why not? Why won't you do it? So why don't you put your hand on the Bible and swear to God that you walked on the moon?
Mr. Seibel has made a fool of himself in front of the world. Mr. Seibel, you do not deserve answers.
The sun, it's 1 million times bigger than the Earth in volume. It's 93 million miles away. It's going to cast shadows in the same direction on the Earth or the moon. There's 2 telephone poles about 5 feet apart. The shadows are parallel. Here's a picture they claim was taken on the moon of objects 5 feet apart. The astronaut shadows at 12 o'clock, the rock 5 feet away, the shadows at 9 o'clock. That can only happen with a close electrical light. We just proved with one photograph that they faked the moon landing despite what anybody says, despite what the corrupt federal government says. That picture cannot be duplicated in sunlight. It can only be duplicated with electrical light, which means they're on Earth, which means they didn't go to the moon.
Okay,
I'm sorry to bring you the bad news.
No, that's your claim. Brian Keating, your response.
Well, I want to treat Bart as a colleague, maybe not as an equal, but I want to treat him fairly. I want to say, Bart, you have much better evidence that I've heard you talk about.
I'm not an equal. Oh my goodness.
Well, I don't think you're a trained scientist, Bart. I mean, if I go to my Wikipedia page,
I don't think you're a trained cinematographer either.
Iran continued on Wednesday morning. At one point, sirens blasted across nearly all of Israel, warning of coordinated attacks from Hezbollah and Iran. Some missiles targeted military bases near Tel Aviv, while others were fired towards southern Israel. Estimates suggest that Hezbollah launched 50 rockets and drones against northern Israel in 24 hours. Yemen's Ansarullah al-Houthi group also fired a missile into southern Israel. The Israeli army says it was intercepted. Tuesday is the eve of the Jewish holiday of Passover, and Israeli sources expect Iran and Hezbollah to increase their pressure on the ground. Politically, as the US president hints at a potential end to the war, the Israeli prime minister seems to be preparing for that scenario as well. Netanyahu delivered a short speech to the Israeli public, hailing what he called success of the Iran war.
We have broken the power of Iran's terror squads that surrounded us in a choke ring. It's true, they still have a limited capacity to threaten us, but they can no longer threaten our existence or launch tens of thousands of ballistic missiles and rockets intended to destroy the cities of Israel.
This is far from ideal for a man who's made a career lobbying against Iran's threats, and a leader who had promised to dismantle the regime and stop these threats for good.
Netanyahu delivered his 1,000-arrogant speech claiming, "I changed the Middle East." There was one word missing from that speech: almost. You almost changed the Middle East. In the end, it always turns out that it hasn't changed.
And now to a major development on a high-risk rescue mission in Iran. In a social media post, President Donald Trump says the U.S. airman from a downed fighter jet has been found. It comes as the president puts more pressure on Iran to make a deal. ABC's Allison Kosick explains.
The breakthrough comes after a dangerous operation to recover 2 U.S. crew members who were forced to eject over Iran. One was rescued earlier. Now the second has been located. Officials say the rescue mission came under fire. 2 Black Hawk helicopters were hit. Several crew members injured, but all made it back safely. An A-10 Warthog providing air support was also struck, forced to divert to Kuwait, where the pilot ejected before the aircraft went down.
It is dangerous because we will take a lot of risk to recover an isolated person, which means that we will fly lower. We may also insert troops onto the ground.
Meanwhile, the war with Iran is escalating. President Trump posting video he says shows intense U.S. strikes inside the country.
I'd like to paraphrase my man Bane from The Dark Knight Rises when I ask you this today, MAGA. Do you feel liberated? Because it's now been a full year since your orange daddy stood in the White House Rose Garden with that dumbass poster board talking about how he was ushering in a new Gilded Age for the American economy by liberating us from unfair trade deals. And I gotta tell you, a full year later, and the only thing I feel liberated from is my own fucking money. Almost like all those Nobel laureate economists weren't fucking lying when they said, hey, tariffs are paid by the consumers, you dumb fucks. Because the average American household has paid almost $2,000 into tariffs that the Supreme Court deemed illegal. We've lost over 200,000 jobs as a direct result of those tariffs, and congressional Republicans sat around with their thumbs up their ass. I've never seen a more sycophantic, spineless, chicken shit group of people than them, and I let them fucking know it, because once a week, I call my Republican representatives on my 10-minute drive to the gym. And by the time I get there, I don't need my pre-workout anymore because I'm filled with fucking rage. Honestly, I recommend it for catharsis because they are directly responsible for this shit. They can end the pain anytime they fucking want. So the number is in the caption down below. Go give those rat fucks a jingle.
Believes this war, or at least the U.S. role in this war, could be over soon. Here's the president.
I think with 2 or 3 weeks.
Not 3 weeks. If it is
we'll
3
leave
weeks,
because there's no reason for us to do this. Now, it's possible that we'll make a deal before that because we'll hit bridges, and we've hit some. We'll hit some bridges. We've got a couple of nice bridges in mind. But if they come to the table, that'll be good.
And shortly after that, the president went to Truth Social to say they had indeed come to the table, saying, quote, Iran's new regime president, much less radicalized and far more intelligent than his predecessors, has just asked the United States of America for a ceasefire. We will consider when Hormuz Strait is open, free and clear. Until then, we are blasting Iran into oblivion, or as they say, back to the Stone Ages. Now, Iran's foreign minister, Ben, has just stated that claim that his country has asked for a ceasefire is, in the foreign minister's words, false and baseless. So we'll see if President Trump puts more meat on the bones of this claim of Iran asking for a ceasefire during his national address.
That's right, folks. Epstein, Jeffrey Epstein, the man with the island, which is suspiciously close to Haiti. That's right. You see, this man, Jeffrey Epstein, is funding lots of people. He's funding lots of people on the street to make sure his shit doesn't get out. That's right. They want the record sealed. And they're paying a lot of people. Epstein's paying a lot of people. Oh, boy. For one, he's got a whole Mossad media matrix in America. And I would bet you anything that Alex Jones is one of them. Prove me wrong. All right, think about this for a minute, okay? The guy in Portland, the scientist that just got busted for producing CP, that guy is 1 degree of separation away from Epstein. Epstein, the investor that lives in West Palm Beach, Florida. I know a guy who lives in West Palm Beach, Florida as well. Investor as well. Also involved as well. And all is not well with these guys. The Florida boys, the Glow boys, the Scott Israels of the world. You see, Epstein is Hillary Clinton. And Epstein is Haiti. And Epstein is a big network of media assets. By the way, did you know that Steve Bannon was going to that guy for money? Also, Epstein is Epstein Oprah. Epstein is Chris Tucker. You remember him. Epstein is also Kevin Spacey. Epstein is also Prince Andrew. Epstein is also... Who else is Epstein? Who else is Epstein? Tell me. You guys know? Who else is Epstein? Is Epstein Big Pharma? Is Epstein Bryan Singer? Is Epstein Naomi Campbell? Yep, all of the above. All of the above. Who is Epstein? Epstein is the keystone of a whole motherfucking matrix. And once you pull it out, it all falls down. Dersh was there too. See, here's something that really made a kind of weird epiphany to me today, is when I figured out that Gabe Hoffman lives in West Palm Beach, Florida, and is an investor in West Palm Beach, Florida, and had a documentary about this guy, Bryan Singer. But isn't Bryan Singer Epstein as well? Were they maybe setting up a little play for this guy, Bryan Singer? Maybe they didn't even bring him down to where the real shit was happening. They always had a fall guy to take him out. That's kind of where my mind's going. Prove me wrong. Prove me wrong. What about Alex Jones? Who else is Epstein funding? The guy was friggin' loaded. And there's accounts in the Cayman Islands. Plus, if you've got paymasters, if you've got people that will pay and do your dirty work for you, like set-up-ups on patriotic Americans.
Back in the day, when I was living in the city, I went to a couple of parties and Epstein was there, and he wasn't the magnitude that he is or was, so he wasn't a big deal. He was mysterious. People didn't know how he made his money and where he, what his story was, but I never really encountered him and had a conversation with him. I just saw him at a party.
This is the second time now our curious friend Pete has worn this logo on a shirt, and that logo is Stone Island Apparel. If you type Stone Island into the search bar of the files, the only thing that comes up is this, a site plan to Little St. James Island. Maybe Pete's just having a little bit of fun with us, but this is the third time now that we have found the logo on his shirt to be symbolic.
Own business, and some knucklehead films me, and the next thing I...
As your firm, Mr. Edwards and Mr. Jaffe, has been described by the U.S. Attorney as perpetrating one of the largest frauds in South Florida.
Own business, and some knucklehead films me, and the next thing I...
As your firm, Mr. Edwards and Mr. Jaffe, has been described by the U.S. Attorney as perpetrating one of the largest frauds in South Florida.
Did we go to the moon? And does it matter?
Yeah, I actually got to watch the moon landing live on television when I was much younger. And what really thrilled me was watching Buzz Aldrin and Neil Armstrong putting up a laser reflector. There's now 3 laser reflectors on the moon. Physicists beam laser beams off them every single day. And it's because of those laser reflectors that the Apollo astronauts put on the moon that we're able to test theories of gravity to a degree we've never been able to do before. So somebody put those laser reflectors there.
Well, probably aliens. I'm just just saying. It really it's very frustrating because there is evidence like the laser
for
reflectors.
Example, even the vehicles left behind by the astronauts are still there, and they're being photographed on a regular basis.
What was the scariest moment of the journey?
Scariest? It didn't happen. It could have been scary. Certainly.
For the record, do you think that we didn't walk on the moon?
I don't think we did. I think it was fate.
Kim Kardashian diving deeper into her theories while speaking with actress Sarah Paulson.
Sending you, so far, 1 million interviews with both Buzz Aldrin and the other one. Do it. And this girl says, what was the scariest moment? And he goes, there was no scary moment because it didn't happen. It could have been scary, but it wasn't because it didn't happen.
Kardashian now pushing a 50-year-old conspiracy theory, and NASA is not having it. Acting Administrator Sean Duffy firing out a quick response on X. Yes, Kim Kardashian, we've been to the moon before 6 times.
That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
Buzz Aldrin, the second person to walk on the moon just after Neil Armstrong, is no stranger to being bombarded by these conspiracy theories. In fact, in 2002, Aldrin, while outside a Beverly Hills hotel, was confronted by filmmaker Bart Sibrel, who asked him to swear on a Bible that the moon landing was real or admit it was a hoax. Aldrin's reaction? Caught on camera. A punch to the face. LAPD never prosecuted Aldrin, saying it was provoked. The Buzz Aldrin clip Kardashian is using as her evidence went viral a couple of years ago and was quickly debunked. It was taken out of context from a 2015 interview. Kardashian falsely saying,
There's no gravity on the moon. Why is the flag blowing?
It's waving because they're shaking it. You can watch them.
Scientists point to more recent satellite images capturing the remnants of the Apollo mission.
To fake that requires such a high level of sophistication of computer-generated imagery and special effects. We actually weren't capable of faking that film-wise.
We asked Kim Kardashian for comment, but have not yet heard back. NASA's Sean Duffy, though, offering a dose of reality and inviting her to watch the next moon launch with her own eyes. For today, Stephen Romo, NBC News, New York.
The problem is these types of conspiracy theories are only going to get worse now. The way that you can clip things online, the use of AI is
Kim Kardashian has 350 million followers. That information just got shared with a lot of different people there. I love that she says Buzz Aldrin, the other guy being Neil Armstrong, the first to ever walk on the moon.
Well, hopefully our experts there made
that. Although Neil Armstrong, Neil A, spelled backwards, is alien. Coincidence?
You believe we actually went to the moon, though?
Yes, we went to the moon a few times, actually, and played golf on the moon.
Okay.
We didn't just go to the moon. We actually got a little bored and started playing golf on the moon.
But why didn't the flag move? There's like that conspiracy
That was the
theory
jump the shark moment.
about the flag?
No, the playing golf on the moon.
Oh, okay.
You know, they literally did.
No, I understand that.
Yeah. We're at the golf ball on the moon.
There's no gravity though, right? So
There is gravity, 1/6. If it wasn't gravity, you just float away.
Okay.
There's no atmosphere.
Okay, fair.
But there is 1/6 gravity.
Jeremiah, I wanted to bring you on and talk to you a bit about, I think it's not a coincidence, but there is something happening, I believe, around this date, this time. We are expecting to know more about a comet that might be seen in the sky beginning on Sunday, but also Artemis. Is there any link to the dates of...
Yes.
Go ahead.
It's fascinating, Glenn, and I'm so glad that you're capturing this for the audience. And what I want you to know is we have the exact date that Jesus died by Roman crucifixion. It's the best established fact of the ancient world. He died on Friday, April 3rd. Guess what today is? Friday, April 3rd, AD 33. Wow. We know that as a historical fact. If we cannot believe that, we cannot believe that Caesar crossed the Rubicon in 49 BC, because Passover fell on the 14th of Nisan, and we know that was Friday, AD 33. A lunar eclipse was seen when Jesus was being crucified. This is all factual. You can see this. And
so that's why it went dark?
Book.
Is that why it went dark?
Exactly why it went dark. Absolutely. And so the facts that we're going back to the moon on the very week where the exact day, April 3rd, the crucifixion happened, that means the resurrection occurred April 5th, AD 33. That is providential. That is no accident, and people need to wake up.
Charlie, just to ask you, I mean, if we do get back on the moon, what advice would you give for the astronauts who make that next amazing
Drink a lot
trip?
of water. Drink a lot of water.
Yes.
Well, they haven't, the first landings on the moon, whatever Artemis that is, in a couple of years, I hopefully have a chance to be around to give them some advice if they want it. And it's just train, be prepared. That's what we did over and over and over again. It was like doing it in your sleep. We had trained so much. We'd work with mission control. We'd work with the crew. We'd work with the rover. We trained and trained and trained. And so that is the motivation behind the Apollo cruise. And what Artemis is, those guys, they're not just going out into the ether with no training.
What's happening is we've come during a time of the camera. So these things are being exposed. And man, isn't it exhausting? Mm-hmm. Now I want to pause, because my black and brown people are going, yeah, we've been at it for a while. And if you're already exhausted, young man, we might be in trouble, all right? Now just hang with me, okay? It's like drinking from a fire hydrant, isn't it? Journalist arrested? Protesters murdered? Ballots seized right down the street? Child sex trafficking exposed? Communities being terrorized? Children detained? Oligarchs censoring? I got censored for the first time, your pastor, on TikTok. Censored by an oligarch, because apparently I'm a threat. Democracy eroding? Every week there's something new, isn't there? Another crisis stacked on top of the last. Another norm shattered before I even have a chance to mourn the last one. And then I sit here right here this morning wondering right now when I finish this sermon and I go to lunch and I pop up my phone, what shock is coming next? Because what I've learned about white supremacy is it will do everything it can for you not to talk about the white supremacy. That's right. But what's more exhausting than all of these endless scandals is what never actually follows the scandals. No justice, no arrest, no consequences, no accountability. Instead, the opposite seems to be happening. Truth tellers are being punished. Power is being protected. Cruelty is being excused. The vulnerable are paying the price. I'm going to be honest with you. Some days this doesn't just feel like tyranny. It feels like inevitability. And I start to question, can this even be stopped? Because what we are dealing with now, is no longer a right and left. Never really has been. That was the game the oligarchs played.
That's right.
And all of a sudden we have files coming out. And you could name just about any billionaire or oligarch and their name is in that file. Mm-hmm. Now I haven't personally read through all millions of the documents, all right? But I have leaned into a couple of them, and I've read 3 pages yesterday. And it was enough to make me nauseous. And all I'm going to say is this. First, I understand now Genesis 7 more than I ever have. Now, if you're unfamiliar, what is Genesis 7? I was thinking about this the other day. As a kid, I grew up and they handed me these Bible stories about how God flooded the world. You know this story? Mm-hmm. You probably learned it in like children's church. It's a great kid story. God just kills them all. Literally. He sends a flood, kills them all. But then all the kids are like, but look at the rainbow. It's like all the kids, they don't even, I don't know about you, maybe you were that kid, but like as a kid hearing that story, I never grew up like, what about the genocide? It's like, look at the rainbow. And then it was all about God promise, you know what I mean? God promised it'd never flood again. Now I'm reading it going, can he take back that promise? Yeah. I am actually understanding maybe what the writer was getting at.
Oh, there is one thing that Donald Trump said in his address tonight that I agree with. There's no other country in the world like us. He's right, because there is no other country that's populated by 50% mouth-breathing fucking half-wits who cheer as the same leader who tore up the deal that would have ensured that the threat he says we're facing right now would have never existed, drags us into yet another fucking forever war while he picks their goddamn pocket. There is no other country like that. There is no other country so filled with people that are so slow you could time them with a fucking calendar who are frothing at the mouth to cheer about the fact that we went over there, we bombed a bunch of innocent school children, they're paying out the ass for gas, and now their president won't give them a concrete timeline on when exactly we're gonna be done. You said 2 weeks, you stupid lib. Guess what, fuckface? They ought to call him 2-week Trump. You know why? Because he said 2 weeks for his tax records, 2 weeks for his healthcare plan, 2 weeks for those Doge checks, 2 weeks for those tariff refund checks, 2 weeks for interest rates to get slashed, and 2 weeks for a fuckload of other shit. If you believe that, you ought to go sit down by the mailbox and wait. You know what the issue with you is? You've got 2 brains. The problem there is that one of them's lost and the other's out fucking looking for it. Get fucked!